Hello, everybody, and welcome to A Wild Camper's Diary. My name is Ben, and the aim of this podcast is for me to offer you my thoughts on the world of wild camping, reflections and insight on my own experiences, and hopefully some inspiration along the way. So, welcome to episode 8, which I have called Looking to Autumn. But as I look to autumn, I'm recording this podcast at a very sad and surreal time for the UK. So, unless you've been living on another planet, you will know that sadly Queen Elizabeth II died last Thursday. And earlier in the week, we had a new Prime Minister as well. So, within 2 days of the new Prime Minister, Liz Truss starting, she had to make a speech on the steps of Downing Street, paying tribute to the late Queen Elizabeth. It's a real odd one. I know this is nothing to do with wild camping, but I just due to the magnitude of all of this, I just felt it was kind of right and appropriate to say something and just to share my thoughts. So when I was born, and I was telling my children this, when I was born, Queen Elizabeth II had already been on the throne for over 20 years. And she, if you don't know, is the longest reigning monarch this country has ever had, possibly the longest the world has ever known as well, so 70 years. So it's a big thing, and I think whether people that are listening, or whether you're British or not British, whether you're a royalist or whether you're not, it's significant, and the reason for that, especially if you're in this country, is that we've never known anything else. So I've never known any other monarch in my entire life, and unless someone is over the age of 70, 75, they also will not have known any other monarch. So she was a real constant in the life of this country. And like I said, whether you are into the royal family or not, when that gets taken away, it throws you a little bit. So everyone's a little bit sort of thrown and a little bit out of sorts here. It's a strange old time, with everything else going on, with rising energy bills and inflation and everything. It's a bit of a period of turmoil. So the country's gone into a period of mourning for several days, and the funeral is going to be on the 19th of September, which is a week tomorrow, a week on Monday. Now, one of the things I had a lot of time for the Queen anyway, myself. I'm not a staunch royalist, but I was always I was always quite inspired by her dedication and her commitment to what her job was and what she was doing, but also her love of the outdoors. And this podcast is about the outdoors, isn't it? And it's about wild camping. I'd be interested to know whether she ever went wild camping, but I do know that she loved the outdoors, and she loved getting out on her own in the outdoors. And there are quite a few stories that I've been hearing in the last week of how she used to do that on her own. She used to leave her security detail behind and get into her Land Rover and just speed off across the moors or the hills or wherever she was staying at the time. So yeah, just wanted to start the podcast with that for this week. So now we look forward to autumn. Summer is almost behind us. It's still pretty mild here. I mean, it's early September, so we're not expecting massive autumnal changes. We're kind of getting temperatures here up to the mid-20s, 23, 24 degrees. So it is still quite warm. I think it's going to remain kind of warmish here in England for the next few weeks, and then it will start to drop and it will feel perhaps a little bit more autumnal. Now, I love the changes in seasons that we get here in the UK. You know, we don't have 2 seasons. We have 4 pretty distinct seasons, I would say, and it's really nice. I've always enjoyed that change, and when I think which is my favourite season to wild camp in, I would always probably say the autumn. I'm not a fan as you know, of camping in really, really hot temperatures. And so the autumn is quite nice. It's not quite winter. It's sort of in between, and it's just it's a lovely time. It's a lovely time. It's that change in the air. You can smell it in the air. You know, the smell of leaves falling and bonfires and just wet woodland and walking around in the woods. You know, the rain. It's lovely. Really love it. It's such a nice sort of feeling. And the days are getting shorter as well. So during the summer, we were getting pretty long days. Sunrise sort of 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, and then sunsets up to sort of 9:45 at night. Now I think the sun is going down around sort of 8 p.m., maybe sort of 7:30 to 8 p.m. So the days are getting shorter, which means there'll be less people about, people going home earlier, which means we don't have to wait for all the families and tourists to disappear when we're going off on our wild camps, which is rather nice. So it's quieter. We can almost have the woods to ourselves a little bit more, have our own adventures, and yeah, just really, really looking forward to that. I don't mind the darkness too much. I mean, some people are saying, oh, the days are shorter, but I don't quite mind that in autumn because you've still got a little bit of light. It's not too bad. I think once you get into winter, that's when it does become really dark and get really short days here, and it's kind of getting dark at 4:30 p.m. and you're having to climb into your tent, and that's a little bit bizarre, especially if you're camping on your own. Another thing I'm going to have to consider as the season changes is the changing kit. So I would imagine in a few weeks' time, I'm going to have to put the summer sleeping bag away and get something a bit warmer out. Think about taking a few more things with me. One of the shelters that I want to try out is my Polish Lavu, which I only bought it last year actually, but I do want to get a few mods done to it. So I need to get it sent off. Want to get the buttons taken out and a zip put into that. But really enjoyed camping in that in the rain and just testing that out last year. It's kind of dark and thick and bomb proof, and I quite like to try that in snowy conditions actually, just to see how it would perform. So just looking forward to that changing kit and having to yeah, just have sort of different things with me. It's going to be a bit weightier, I suppose, the backpack, but no big deal. No big deal. So how about you? What's your favourite season? Do you enjoy the autumn while camping as much as I do? I know some people prefer springtime. Maybe it's a little bit lighter then, but yeah, everyone's got their different preferences, and I just wanted to share mine with you today and just share my thoughts on it. So there we are, a bit of a different podcast for you in what has been a very sad, very strange week here in the UK. But as I always say, the outdoors really is what I would describe as balm for the soul in challenging times. It doesn't cost anything, it's free, it's always there. In fact, I'm looking forward to getting outdoors again. I've got a camp coming up in around 2 weeks' time with some friends, and I'll be heading out into the woods for a bit of an early autumn camp. So, really looking forward to that. So, thanks very much for listening to this podcast, everyone, and I'll see you again for another episode of A Wild Camper's Diary.